So, hello everybody. When I say addiction, what do you think of? Do you think of cigarettes? Do you think of drugs? Maybe you thought of alcohol. And you would be absolutely right. These are the usual suspects. They exist in abundance. And what's really dangerous about them is that they start very innocently. And they start, maybe you were curious, maybe you wanted to fit in socially. But the minute you start consuming these substances, you're going to reach a point where you're going to need a lot more of these substances to feel even the same amount of satisfaction that you once felt initially when you were consuming them. Right? Because it's not what these substances are, but rather what these substances do that's creating this entire experience for you. Now, I want you to reel all of this information back in and replace these addictive substances with digital environments and digital devices, and we stand on the precipice of an entirely different conversation now. Right? I mean, we've all been there. Okay, I want to use my phone for just 1 second, some important email I need to be checking right now, and an entire hour has gone you by and you've absolutely not realized that you're on your phone. Or maybe you've come home and you're sitting on your couch and you've decided, I'm going to watch just one episode today of whatever series that you're watching, and boom, it is 5 o'clock in the morning and you're like, oh my God, how did we get here? Right? So now we're talking about addiction, we're talking about phones. Is this a conversation about digital addiction with your phones? That's a done topic. You've had so many influencers go on and on about your phone is addictive, your phone is addictive. What I want to tell you is that as humans, we all have this tendency to want our psychological as well as our social needs met. There is gratification that we get when these needs are met. Now, to meet these needs in terms of a digital environment, you want to, you choose your apps, you choose which series you want to watch, maybe a podcast, music, just so much available. That's part of the problem, but we'll get to that. So, what I want to propose to you is that the comfort that you experience when you consume these devices, the convenience of these devices is what you are actually addicted to. You're addicted to comfort, and that's probably why you're not feeling it. Well, in the very least, the addictive substances, the chemical substances we spoke about, they come with government-mandated warning labels. Smoking is injurious to health. Alcohol is addictive. Please refrain. Government-mandated warning labels are put all across these devices. But on the other hand, when you come to digital devices, they come with multi-million-dollar advertising budgets. Big glossy ads telling you, come use me. Come, you need to have me. All of us have this big illuminating rectangle in our pocket right now, maybe in our hands. Right? It is put as the salvation. Now, moving on. What's really happening when you're consuming this? We're talking about watching a series and it turning into 5 a.m. Okay, it's supposed to make you feel comfortable, but were you truly feeling comfortable or were you feeling hollow? You executed the process of watching the series, but did it make you feel comfortable? Did you feel comforted? Did the convenience of it help you? No, it didn't, right? You felt hollow. Okay. That's what I like to call numb comfort. And how that happens is best explained by this analogy. Now I want you to imagine a 3-laned highway. It's a busy highway, okay? The cars going to and fro. Now, if way too many cars start traveling on this highway, what's going to happen? Bottlenecking, traffic jams, gridlocks, right? And when this starts happening, the government decides that, okay, the speed of processing is not great. Government brings in a construction crew and makes a 6-lane highway of it. And now what happens is, in the 6-lane highway, you need way too many cars to get to that gridlock situation again. Or you need a truck, maybe a rocket. You need something entirely different to get to the traffic jam situation again in a 6-lane highway. Now, the brain is actually the government in this analogy. The cars are the neural impulses, right? And the road is the neural pathway, specifically the reward pathways. Now you have to think of it like this. When the expansion happens, the neural impulses that are passing through, you need a lot more stimulation to achieve that same level of comfort, satisfaction, feeling, happiness, whatever you are feeling by the consumption. Because the brain registers contrast. The brain does not process consistency. The brain optimizes, right? The brain will realize that, oh, if there's a traffic jam getting created of neural impulses, I need to optimize for speed, time, resources, efficiency. Because of which, the brain will ease out the process. But in doing this entire adaptation, it's called tolerance by the way, but this entire adaptation is making you get used to it. Get used to the amount of impulse coming through. Now you will ask me that, hey, if this is a survival mechanism, it's an adaptive mechanism, then what is the problem? The problem is that the baseline of pleasure increases. You need the valley to be able to experience the peaks. You're not going to experience what the peak feels like on the top of the mountain if you haven't seen the valley, if you haven't climbed up from down. The contrast of it is something that gives meaning, gives value to the experience of the high. Our current digital environments, in terms of innovation, are engineered. It's almost like it's completely, specifically engineered to tap into this very system. They consistently in lieu of comfort, convenience, happiness, gratification, give you only the peaks. So gradually, your baseline for pleasure is increasing, and it's increasing till a point where you're going to need so much stimulation, consistent stimulation, or you're going to need a completely novel stimulation to feel that again. Because it's so important to consider, right? If every single day is a good day, no day truly remains a good day. So at this juncture, it's important to differentiate that clinical substance addiction is a different experience, while the neural pathways that get affected are the same. It's the same pathway, same road that's there. The only difference is that the substance consumed in terms of clinical addiction, the body is a lot more sensitive to. Tolerance builds faster, plus more withdrawal. What we're talking about is more behavioral addiction. Now, I studied this. I wanted to research this. What is the consequence of using my phone, my tablet, my laptop? I'm surrounded by devices. There's some consequence, right? There are so many people talking about this. So I studied it empirically. And what I found was that studying screen time, how much time you spend on your devices, is a terrible metric. It tells you absolutely nothing. Because now I want you to imagine two people, person A, person B, both using 4 hours worth of screen time. Now person A has spent those 4 hours learning a new language, whereas person B has spent those 4 hours passively scrolling, low effort gratification on their phone. There is a difference, right, in the amount of autonomy exerted, the level of engagement required. For person A who spent that time learning that language, they've had a more gradual rise to the peak. They've experienced the valley. They've reached the peak. Essentially, there has been no traffic jam. So that's why for person A, the release of dopamine in their system has been a lot more gradual. But on the other hand, for person B, the low effort, highly gratifying, extremely stimulatory consumption has reached to a more of a tolerance, hollow, numb comfort that we've spoken about so far. So essentially, it's not the screen time that's important, it's screen type. How are you consuming the screen? What are you doing about it? What are you consuming is so much more important than how much are you consuming. Because let's be real, if the system can adapt in one direction, it can very much adapt in another direction, right? And now you'll ask me, is the point of this conversation that I need to chuck my phone in a pond? I need to do competitive cold plunges, go for 6-month yoga retreats, completely reclude myself from society, never speak to any human ever again across a screen, go touch grass? That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not pragmatic. That's not realistic. Are you going to be able to do that with the way innovation is currently booming and it's all around you? It's not your fault that the current innovation that exists weaponizes our pathways to have us use more of it, right? It's not our fault that the current innovation is not sensitive to our nervous system. Doesn't mean we need to completely chuck innovation out. The goal is more, the goal isn't less technology, it is less automatic living. It's the less automatically picking up your phone and scrolling and just, getting stuck in the scroll hole of it all. Because this is how this works. An agency that is currently designing or innovating digital environments for you uses your low effort utility as a tool. Because the more low effort their content is, the more likely you are to engage with it. Because engagement at the end of the day is what the agency wants, right? People making the phones in your pocket right now or the apps on it, they want you to engage with it. That is the point. They're weaponizing your dopamine system and it's working for them. But if it's the same system, might as well, we should be able to optimize it for ourselves, right? And if we are optimizing it for ourselves, our goal is agency and more fulfillment in our consumption. Because if you cannot really use dopamine pathways for yourself, is it really worth it? You have to think of it like a machine with a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt is the pathway of the dopaminergic system essentially in your brain. The product on that conveyor belt is what the agencies have been pushing to you so far. It's up to you. You do have that much autonomy to take that product, put your own intentional product. Because imagine being absolutely at a neurochemical level, being addicted to goals, setting your own goals and reaching them, being addicted to deep learning, to connection that you foster, that's real, not artificial, not hollow. And it is possible, right? It is essentially possible because it is the same system that we're talking about here. Because while the brain may register contrast and novelty to sort of make sense of reality and experience, it is also important to focus on the fact that it is, like I mentioned, the boredom of it, the silences, the long silences that build our reserves, reset the highway, clear out the highway to give more space for more cars to pass, more stimulation to pass. I'm not suggesting that you completely cut away. Don't go for big dopamine detoxes. Maybe for a set amount of time, you can refrain from extremely highly stimulatory activity and then mindfully reintegrate it into your systems. Once you reintegrate them back, just remember it is not the amount of time, it is how you're interacting with those stimulatory substances, devices, platforms, and it is the choice that you're making. Okay? Because comfort without agency does stop comforting. You don't need any of the technical terms that I have told you just yet because you've all experienced it in some way or another. And it's up to you now to decide that if the trade-off that you're making, that the comfort that you're trying to get from these digital devices and the control that you're giving away, if the trade-off is worth it, it's your decision. Because if my talk made you uncomfortable, the conversation that we had right now made you uncomfortable, that means there is enough to take from here. Thank you.